Hello and welcome to our Green Door Speaker Series. Today we have Kari Schwear with us, and she is going to dig into what she does with her clients, how she got here as far as her gray area philosophy.
Yes.
And we're going to dig into that. And we have some friends with us today. I'm Lene Diorio, and we have Bambi and Channing here to chime in with their personal experiences, and we're just going to get right into it. So Kari, tell us about your background and kind of what you do with your clients and your coaching practice.
Yeah, well, thank you. Hi.
Hi.
So I'm so honored to be with you ladies today. So I want to share first that the reason how and why I got into this type of coaching is because my entire life has been a gray area. It started when I was 7 years old. I kid you not, 1974, do the math, I'm 57. 1974, I'm in my parents' driveway on a hot summer day in August, and I remember playing jacks by myself. I don't even know if y'all remember the game jacks. And I thought, there's no one around, and there's nothing really to do. And if this is all there is to life, this kind of is not that great. I was 7. Like, what 7-year-old has that kind of
philosophical?
Thinking? Yes.
7, okay.
It was the same year I told my mom I'd be a cigarette smoker too because I'm such a rebel, and so I became one. I did quit smoking years ago, but I was a smoker for a while. And that philosophy, that decision that I made at that point, because when you're young, you actually take beliefs that you have experienced and they become your limiting beliefs later on. So I had made that decision that this is all there is to life. I don't know what I thought I was searching for, but I think a lot of us feel that way even now. We get to a point in our career, with our habits, with our relationships, and we're like, really? Is this all there is? Like, I'm working to do this? Like, I only have fun 2 days a week on the weekends, or I only do these holidays or Christmas or whatever, and it's like, that's what I'm living for, is this? Well, that's a gray area when we start to get into that mindset. So for me, it started leading up to my career. I was in this philosophy of when I was 7, kind of went through high school and to college and so forth. And then I'm like, really, this is it? Like, I went to school and college for this, like this job, really? I got married really young and I had kids right away. That was cool. Like being a mom, a young mom. And then there I was, deciding that no longer did I want to be in the restaurant business. This is my 7th career, by the way, so I think this was career number 3. And I'm like, I don't want to be a waitress and a bartender anymore. That's not good enough. So I became a food and beverage manager at a Poshy Country Club. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? 65 hours a week, working with a bunch of people that were very difficult to work with. I learned very quickly that wine was such a beautiful way to get rid of how I was feeling. And it works. Alcohol works so great. It works so well. It helps to erase your day. It helps to erase how you're feeling inside, and it helps you relax and be fun and social and all those things. And so this new love for wine turned into, now I'm a wine connoisseur. I became the head buyer for the country club and the restaurant, and pairing the wine with the chef, and it was like, oh, I'm so great, I'm so fancy, look at me go. And inside I absolutely hated what I was doing. And that led to then my husband saying, wow, babe, I think you're drinking like a little more frequent than I remember. You need to be careful. That was the first seed that was planted. I ignored him, of course, because he's my husband, right? That's what we do. We ignore everyone that's close to us. And his mom was an alcoholic years ago, so he was very aware of this kind of behavior. So that led to us moving to Richmond, Virginia. And now I have a whole nother set of issues to deal with. New town, kids moving, getting another new career. At this point I'm in the medical field. And that whole transition. So now I'm in this gray area of like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know. Everything was around my husband and my kids, and it's like, I'm still lost in the shuffle. 2014, I was getting my eyelashes done a lot. This was 10 years ago. And my girl, Kirby, who was doing my eyelashes out in Powhatan, she said, I love you. And I want to tell you something. Every time you come in to get your eyelashes on Saturday morning, you're not feeling good from the night before. And I want you to know, Kari, that this love of wine that you have is no longer going to be a choice if you continue. Her words resonated deeply. I mean, I almost get teary-eyed now talking about it. It resonated, it cut so deep because I knew she was telling me the truth. And all change begins by telling the truth. And I wasn't ready to tell the truth to myself. So I had Kirby saying something to me, I had my husband saying something to me, and I would just stick it in the back pocket, because that's what we do when we're in a gray area. We don't want to assume any responsibility. We know it's there, but it's over here. Just like our relationships, which was the next gray area. My husband and I started to kind of go this way once the kids went out of the house, and his job was miserable at the time, and he was in a gray area with work. I was in a gray area with all my things, with my job, and juggling my relationship with alcohol and just feeling like crap. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I spoke. I couldn't even look at myself on camera. I couldn't take a picture of myself. I had zero self-confidence. And yet I wore this mask of, oh my God, my life is so perfect. How are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Right? That's what we do. We pretend. We put the mask on, hiding behind a gray area. So now I'm in a gray area marriage. I'm a gray area drinker. Didn't know it at the time, by the way, guys. I did not know. Didn't know that term yet. And I'm in a gray area with my existence, with my everything. In 2016, that seed had been planted, a couple seeds now. That seed starts to cultivate after a while. So we call that the pre-contemplation stage of change. When you know something's out here in the distance, you need to make some sort of change, but you don't know what it is, so you just sort of keep pushing it off. Well, that started happening, but it was getting louder and louder, those internal voices. I think you're drinking too much. How much is too much? Let me Google, am I an alcoholic? How much is too much? What is considered normal? How do I stop at glass number 2? I Googled everything. 2016 comes, spent all day, 4th of July drinking, came home that night. My 23-year-old son at the time said, "Wow, Mom, you are trashed. How much were you drinking today? You are so sloppy drunk right now. I can't believe you're like this." Well, I spewed back all kinds of words to him. Nothing that a mom should ever say to their kid. It was, I didn't know it. I forgot, I went to sleep, got up like a pro because I'm a professional drinker. Like, I don't get hangovers. I can hold my liquor. Woohoo, look at me go. Went to work the next day. Felt like garbage, but I, mask on. I'm good. How are you? Yes, everything is fine. I'm perfect. Thank you. Went home and my son said, "How'd you do at work today?" I said, "Why?" "Well, you were really trash last night. Do you remember what you said to me?" My husband kicked him under the table and said, "Nate, don't tell your mom." He said, "Oh, I'm telling her." And he repeated back to me what I said. And I immediately started crying, and I apologized, and I said, "That's it. I'm going to do something. I'm going to change this." I moved from pre-contemplation into the contemplation stage, and now I was getting ready to move into what they call the preparation stage. I knew something had to change. I didn't identify as an alcoholic, but I knew I was drinking more than normal. So I started researching. The only thing that I knew that was out there is what? That's right. The traditional route of recovery, Alcoholics Anonymous. Love the program. Think it's amazing. It's helped millions of people.
But you're like, it's not for me.
Not for me. I went for 5 months. It wasn't a good fit. You want to know why it wasn't a good fit? It's about recovery. I needed discovery. I needed to understand why I was drinking so much. I didn't understand it. And I wasn't severely abusing, but I was abusing. So let me tell you what gray area drinking, the definition is for those that don't know. It is a space, this wide space between someone who is a take it or leave it drinker, and someone who is severely abusing alcohol. There is this wide spectrum of drinkers. We have been taught as a society that if you drink too much, you're an alcoholic, or you're not. There's no in between. And after I went to AA, after 5 months of going religiously, I left the program. I worked with a coach, and that coach really helped me unroot the reasons why I didn't like myself from past trauma, why I was in a gray area with my life in general. I didn't understand any of it. And he helped me see that. And he said to me at that time, Kari, I think you're going to be a coach yourself someday. I think you're going to start your own business. And I think you're going to share your story with the world. And I responded, hell no. There's no way I'm going to do that. I'm never telling anybody about my relationship with alcohol, that I had a problem. Are you kidding me? No way. But he planted a seed for me. Another seed was planted. I was already alcohol free when I worked with him. And he helped me see what was really holding me back. And so the summer of 18, I heard the term gray area drinking on a podcast. And the girl was sharing her experience as a gray area drinker. And I was like, I remember I was walking my dog Frankie in the neighborhood. And when I heard the term, I stopped dead in the middle of the street and I went, oh, that's what I was. I was an alcoholic. I was a gray area drinker. Oh my God, if I tell more people about gray area drinking, I can help them stop before they get too far down the path of an addiction, before it becomes no longer a choice. And that's my biggest message for you, is that it is a choice to be there. It's a choice to remain in a gray area marriage. It's a choice to remain in a career that is not satisfying to you. It is a choice to not work on your personal health, meaning your physical health, your habits, your health, your mental well-being, and your spiritual health, whatever that is. It is a choice to be in a gray area. And it's up to us to listen to those voices that we already have inside and to pay attention to them and not to ignore them. So my big message for you today is for you to know that you have a choice. Hallelujah. Amen. Isn't that good news? You're not forced to do anything. My message isn't to never drink or a vendetta against alcohol. What I'm on a vendetta against is helping people take the pretend flashlight that's under your chair and be willing to shine it on yourself and say, where can I illuminate these hidden gray areas that I have in my life? Because you have one, you have one, you have one, I still have one, and you have one. We all have some sort of gray area in our life. We have to be willing to shine a light on it. For sure. That was very long of an answer for you.
That was a very long answer, but I love that you gave the full spectrum of the then and the now.
Yeah.
Did you have a major like epiphany where you would just, every ounce of alcohol had to be, stripped from the household, including your husband wasn't allowed to drink, your kids weren't allowed to drink? Like, how did you clear your chakra to get it out of the way so that you weren't tempted, or was it easy to just put the kibosh on that?
So,
not easy, but after your son's comments were reflected back to you and you had that moment of like, okay, now.
Yeah. This is a really fair question, and all my clients.
If it took time, if it wasn't a one-day thing, that's fine.
No, for me, it was, I'm an all or nothing girl. So if I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna have some drinks, right? If I'm not gonna drink, I'm not gonna drink. That's the end of it. I hate do-overs. I just had this conversation with one of my clients today. He is still relatively new in his path. Very successful guy, he's like, oh man, Kari, like, I know you keep telling me, because my thing is, if you say it's gonna be easy, it will be easy. There's no such thing as white knuckling it through. I mean, there is such a thing, but white knuckling doesn't work. Willpower doesn't work. All that runs out. These 30-day challenges, I used to have a 30-day course called Try Drive for 30 and also Question the Drink for 30. Amazing programs. Everyone that went through it, 100% that were surveyed, absolutely improved their relationship with alcohol. It worked. It's 30 days. We can do anything for 30 days. It takes an average of 66 days to automate a habit. And that's what drinking is. That's what overeating is. That's what scrolling through your phone relentlessly. That's what binge watching Netflix. right? Whatever it is that we're doing habit-wise that we don't like, we've automated that. There's a reward system. There's dopamine that we keep getting a hit of, and we're like, ooh, our brain says, oh my God, remember that? I like that. Ooh, that felt good. Sugar does that, right? We like sugar. You ever go on a sugar like diet? You're like, I'm not eating sugar. And the first couple days, you're like, man, I really want some sugar. But then after a week, you're like, oh, I'm totally fine without it. This is actually easy if you eliminate it after a while, right? So to answer your question, no, I never went back because I hate do-overs, and I don't want to have to do anything over twice. That just seems very annoying to me. I'm like that success mind, like I'm not going to do that. I'm not most people. A lot of people will try it and then they'll go back, or they'll dabble a little, or they play the games with themselves. Like, I'm only going to drink on the weekend, and then the weekend then becomes Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then it eventually becomes, well, it's like Friday, Saturday, then it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, then it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so we start expanding this.
Oh, and I have a networking event,
Yeah.
so it's a special occasion.
Yes.
Oh, I
have a
got
wedding.
invited to this
There's always a
dinner.
reason.
Yeah.
Or the vacation, or whatever, right? There's always something.
You have a cheat day.
We have a cheat day, yeah. And then what happens is your brain, especially alcohol, we're talking here, not just any habit, but alcohol, our brain doesn't say, like, let me rewind that a little bit. When we're talking about habits, we're creating patterns, habitual patterns in our brain. It's like if you think about a road that you travel, or a hiking trail that's been there a long time. It's wide, it's well worn, you can see it very clearly. But whenever you start a new path, or you go down a new road, your brain has to acclimate to it being new, and it's harder, right? It's not as easy. So when someone decides to quit drinking, even if it's temporarily, you're forcing your brain to take a new path. You're creating a new neural pathway. But that old pathway doesn't die. It just lies dormant. So somebody can go 100 days, like the client I'm working with right now, he's done 100 days before. Like, oh, I could do 100 days again. Well, of course you can. You've already done it. Like, no big deal. Then what happened, right? Because you haven't worked through all the real stuff, which is understanding why you're drinking, the discovery part. So you could go 30 days, no problem. But as soon as you say, well, I'm going to go back, guess what? You will be successful. You'll say, I'll only have one, maybe two, and you can do it. You will be successful that first time. Not the second or third time. Because now you've opened back up that road or that trail, whatever analogy you want to use, and you're like, oh yes, the old familiar, feeding my soul, it feels so good. And you go back to it. And that's what happens. That's what keeps us in this loop, and we keep getting stuck. And it's the same thing, again, whether it's within a marriage or a partnership. You know, maybe you're not talking to your spouse. You know, maybe there's like, maybe you're not having intimacy anymore, and it just becomes kind of the norm, you know, and to go back to it, it feels hard again. This is why relationships fall into a gray area. Our careers, you know, if we're just like, oh God, I'm handcuffed to this job, or it pays really good money, or I have good benefits.
Yeah,
I
all
got a
the
good
above.
401k plan.
That's how I end up in every job.